bearing in mind we are here in Ellesmere Port, I think it would be helpful if we perhaps looked at the topic of schools first. And we do have a written question posed by Pat Downs. Pat Downs here. Nice. Pat, would you like to ask the question? Would you like me to read your question out?
I have to just say that my question was, the academy process has been dragging on in Ellesmere Port for a long, long time, for a number of reasons. But I'm a primary head teacher, but it impacts on our children when they move on. And we've had numerous meetings with head teachers, including our colleagues from high school. It seems ridiculous to us geographically to cite an academy, if we're going to have an academy, somewhere like Sutton, which I believe is the latest and last proposal we heard about, when there's a whole group of children on the Stanley estate which have a very, very long way to travel to school. So my question is very simply, we had a meeting with Arthur Miller some time ago and talked about a plot of land by West Cheshire College, which I believe is owned still by Morrison Supermarket, but it seems to be the ideal place. It might be simplistic, but it's equidistant between the two existing high schools. And my question is simply, could we look at that, or is that going to be looked at as a possibility for a situation for a new high school? It seems ridiculous to put children from one side of Ellesmere Port to the other one. There's a big campus there already. What could they?
Thank you. For this, there are several reasons at the moment which are under debate. The first is the difficulty to assemble a site of sufficient size. That's one issue. The second is the cost and time required to acquire the land. And in the case of Morrison's, they are somewhat reluctant to sell at the moment for obvious reasons, unless they are paid a premium. But that may be negotiated. And of course, we lack funding for land acquisition, so we can't, buy the land off Morrison's and let's face it, well, you can have it for virtually nothing at all. But we are revisiting the whole scenario as to where this proposed new academy is located.
We need something that's going to excite them and inspire them to learn and actually be ambitious in their careers. And so we need to look at just more than the building. And this is one of the parts, I think, one of the key parts to how we look at and regenerate Ellesmere Port, so that people can be proud of being from Ellesmere Port.
And the knock-on effect from that is the decisions are made concerning the academy. Parents are greatly concerned about catchment areas for primary schools and how that will all be affected, and how soon that information will be imparted to them.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, obviously, when we have the proposal accepted, then we will have to revisit, obviously, the catchment areas which the academy will draw from. But as you know, people can attend any school, high school, out of their catchment area if they so wish.
Yes, but the policy is that the priorities will be given,
yes.
And living in the catchment area does come up higher than if you have to be a long way away and Oxford School, which isn't your closest. So.
Yes. And we were targeting about 1,500 population of the proposed academy. Do you think that will meet the needs of the schools that you are aware of and have an interest?
It again reflects the question that was originally asked, because the primary schools are spread across a wide area, and parents are concerned about the distance their young 11-year-olds are going to travel, and it is rather a sort of a lumped up one side of the borough, rather than perhaps being more central, as the first speaker did say. And I think that is a knock-on effect of the issue, not just where the academy is going to be, but it's where then the parents are living, the children are living, and which school they may want to choose, how far away it is from where they live and the primary school their children are going to, where their likelihood of having their choices are going to be, because the catchment is a priority in the schools oversubscribed. Then where the primary school is, and which it feeds into the secondary school, is of importance to them.
As I said before, we are going to revisit the whole proposal and the citing of it, and obviously in doing so we will be consulting people, parents and members of the primary school concerned.
Councillor Hartley, do you have a question which you wish to push to the leader?
All right, thank you, sir. General question, really. If you don't mind, I'll read it. Basically, it says, considering the incredibly short timescales we've been given to set up this new authority, Cheshire, Western Chester, and the large amounts of documentation, approvals, processes that need to be put in place by next April, excluding the wonderful Scrutiny Committee, but including any lessons learned, what other checks and balances are there in place? And what would you propose be put in place to ensure a fair, proactive and people-focused open approach to development of this new council? Sorry, it's long-winded.
Long-winded? I think the answer could be a great deal longer. It is incredibly short timescales. Between 16th of May, when we had our first council meeting, to the 1st of April, we have to build an organisation that is approximately 14,500 staff, put together a budget of £500 million, and make sure that everything that we do now in all our different councils carries on the 1st of April onwards, without any seen deficit or reduction in service levels. Now, that is a fair task to deliver. Now, clearly, the 1st of April is a very important date. I'm hoping we actually don't see much of the 1st of April in terms of a problem. We have approximately 833 people, at the last count, working on ensuring that everything is in place to deliver our new council on the 1st of April and that our services continue as they are. We have fairly comprehensive risk schedules, and we understand where we feel the issues are, and we have our officers who are flagging these up in a very open and transparent way. We've split up the project now so that each executive member, working with their lead officer, has sight of that risk schedule, has sight of the project plan and its progress, and if there are issues, they are raised between the executive member and the lead officer, and that's then flagged up to the executive, and if there are resources required, we try and find where those resources are. And we've had a very good example in children's services, where within the transition plan we had some money available, and that's about £200,000 we've allotted to children's services to supplement the resources required to get through a bit of a hump of work if we go there. We know we've got another issue because we have an IT supplier that's not delivering on a system that we need to change for the 1st of April, and we will be discussing that at our next executive meeting to see where we can help both the lead officer and the executive member deliver that change. So there is quite a comprehensive project management system in place, and I do know that the new chief executive, because I spoke to him about this last night, is currently reviewing that now to make sure that he's satisfied that we're not going to drop any of the balls as we move through to the 1st of April and beyond.